Hello, everyone. Um, I was, my daughter is at a movie right now, and I am I was the designated chaperone if the movie theater didn't let teenagers all into the movie by themselves. I was the one that I was going to go and pay to get in and sit in the back and, you know, be the adult. So, thankfully, though, I did not have to do that because I wasn't really geared up to sit through a movie anyway. And I've just been catching up on some Lori Ladd on Patreon and things like that, and just enjoying like me time in the car, which is actually wonderful. um, and I kind of got to thinking, my oldest daughter, who I'm taking to the movies, has been getting ready for prom too. We've been doing hair and makeup and any other last minute things. We have shopping to do today for that too, just last minute hair ribbon and ribbon for her corsage and stuff. And um, when we were going to the movie theater, I said something about stopping to get candy to put into her purse. Yes, I break rules. A freaking popcorn was $10 for a medium popcorn and almost $8 for a drink. I about died. That is such an insane markup. I can't even. I just can't. But anyway, so yeah, she snuck candy into the movie theater. And I said to her, I said, "Oh, I remember Grandma teaching me how to do this." I remember going into Walgreens and getting candy and her sticking it into her purse and trying to shove as much in as she could and everything. And that got me thinking what we pass on to our kids. And there's lots of generational things that we just pass on and we don't even think about, why am I passing this on? Is this even worthy of being passed on? And I think the beautiful thing about doing this self growth and awakening and things like that is, do I even want to pass this on to my kids? And there are so many things that have come up, like, I I love my parents very much. I love them for who they are, where they were when the adults that they were when they were raising me. I know truly in my heart they were doing the best they could with what they were given and how they were raised. And um, would I do everything, you know, like them? No, because I'm a completely different person. That doesn't that doesn't entail judgment, is what I mean to say. There's no judgment on them. It just is. Um, and I think that's a hard thing we need to come to grips with as adults, is realizing that our parents were in their own shit show, trying to figure out life, dealing with their own trauma, but nobody called it trauma. And, you know, trying to raise kids and figure out who they were. And it's just hard. And I can't fault them for how and where and what they were when they tried. But I can also use that as a learning experience in my own life and with my own children, and decide who I want to be, what I want to pass on, what I want to give new to my kids. And I do a lot of things very different I would probably say not enough things different, but I do a lot different. I'm sure if you ask my parents, they'd tell you I was nuts. Um, but we do a lot different. And in the beginning, there was sometimes judgment, whether intentional or unintentional. And now it just is. And having that conversation with my daughter just was one of those key moments where I was kind of like, oh, what else do I want to pass on to them? Like, okay, mom's sometimes a rebel and fun and will sneak candy into the movie theater. Okay. But what else am I giving them? You know, when we were outside in the garden where the greenhouse is going to be yesterday, and the kids are digging up rocks and everything, I have an energy board, and I sometimes post pictures of it when I feel called to adjust things. And my second daughter, who is 9, she really loves when I do the energy board, and she's done it for me sometimes. And I have, lots of crystals and rocks and everything, but it's special and sacred to me, and I like it being my thing. But at the same time, I appreciate and love that she enjoys it too. So sometimes I'll have her do the board, and I've really encouraged her to make her own board out of rocks or whatever that she finds, and things that she's been gifted. And we had buckets and buckets of rocks that we were taking out of this area, and we only got about halfway through, and we're just dumping them into a big pile. And when we were done and we were getting all the buckets together and everything, she had probably more than 2 huge handfuls of stones that she had picked up, that those spoke to her, those resonated with her. And I can remember being a kid, and I literally had McDonald's buckets of, because that was a Happy Meal thing one summer, I'm sure, of rocks that I had, and I held on to those things for forever. And I can still remember the pain of trying to decide if I wanted to hang on to those rocks. And part of me wishes I still had those rocks. And so I didn't say anything to her like, that's a lot of rocks or anything like that. I was just like, are you sure you can get all that? And but she was so happy. And so that's something beautiful that I'm passing on to her now, and she'll continue to grow and develop that as she ages through teenagehood and goes into adulthood. And I think that's one of those deep questions as parents. Sometimes we go, why am I awakening now? Why am I doing this with my kids? Why couldn't I have done this before kids? And there's a reason, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's happening now, so deal with it now. This is where we're at. I feel like the biggest reason is because we can correct may not be the right word. As we're diving into who we are, it's going to bring up all the generational things and the trauma, and we're going to realize it maybe in a different way with having kids, because our kids are going to trigger us. Oh my gosh. And so maybe we deal with it and we develop either faster or more intently, or whatever the case is, but maybe it impacts them even more than we realize it is. So if you're struggling with, why am I awakening with kids? If you're struggling with generational trauma, I don't want to pass this on to my kids. Dig deep into what do you want to give your kids. Instead of thinking of all the bad things that you could give them, what are some of these good things, that these skills and assets that you're developing? If you're teaching your kids how you question yourself, how you question the programming you received from their grandparents, and you're teaching them that, if you're teaching them the world thinks this, but people also think this, you're giving them so many perspectives and viewpoints of life. Being an awakened parent is hard. Um, but it's also so valuable too. We have such a unique perspective that can give love to the world in such a different way. And as much as it's been hard to awaken through this process, it's also been a gift. And I don't worry and say why now as much. I just go, it is what it is. And now I'm thinking, what more can I give them? What else do I need to add? What am I not giving them that I want to? You know, my oldest is 16, and so my parenting time is drawing to an end. And I'm constantly going, have I given her all the skills and the assets that I need to? And if not, how can I still do that for her? How can I make sure the others still get what they need? And I love myself now through it much differently than I used to. Because I know I'm going to fail in some things. Okay, and I'm also succeeding in tons of ways too. So anyway, if you're looking for things to dive into, perhaps diving into what you want to give your kids is the thing to do.